This is a railway link. It may look like an ordinary track to you, but its very existence can rewrite the world order. Funded by China and built in Iran, this short stretch of railway is just what China needs to bypass Western sanctions and access global markets. This video unpacks how a single rail link became a quiet threat to America through engineering, not ideology. This is where China and Iran are situated on the map. Although separated, the two of them enjoy a close strategic partnership. China is the #1 importer of crude oil from Iran. In 2022, it purchased more than $500 million worth of oil from Iran. And it's not just oil that's exchanged between them. There are industrial metals, plastic, and even agricultural goods. Despite US sanctions on both countries, both China and Iran haven't stopped trading with each other. In normal circumstances, this relationship could have gone smoothly if it weren't for a tiny problem. You see, 80% of China's oil imports pass through this narrow route known as the Strait of Malacca. Despite its size, over 94,000 vessels pass through it annually. That's just how popular it is. Unfortunately for China, the US exerts control over this critical choke point. Since 2019, US warships and aircraft carriers have the right to dock, refuel, and resupply at Singapore's deep-water bases. This gives them close access to the Strait of Malacca, which can be easily blocked in case of a conflict in just 24 hours. If this strait closes for even a single week, China could lose up to $64 million. So for China, continuing to rely on this strait is a risk it's not willing to take. That's why the Asian giant has decided to ditch the long route and pick a direct one. Even a superpower like China likes shortcuts. They plan to shift from maritime trade to much safer and faster land routes. And it has successfully done so in the case of Iran. In 2025, China and Iran launched their direct rail link. The whole route is more than 6,000 miles long and took just 14 days. In comparison, the same journey by sea takes anywhere from 30 to 40 days. During its route, the freight trains pass through Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. The first cargo traveling from China to Iran arrived on May 25th of this year. The train carrying 32 containers left from Xi'an, China, and arrived at the Aprin dry port in Iran. With no US military presence along the rail line, Tehran can export oil and import goods from Beijing without Washington's prying eyes. The railway itself traverses a vast range of landscapes, including deserts, mountainous regions, and high plateaus. That's a lot of engineering required to deliver a single track of functional railway. But as history tells us, nothing is too complex for Chinese ambition. As mentioned before, this railway line crosses 4 countries in the middle. That's a feat in itself. The origin point of the railway lies in western China, a largely desert region. These areas are characterized by loose, shifting sands and a lack of vegetation, which can destabilize the track bed and compromise the structure's integrity. Moreover, the conditions across these 4 countries didn't make things any easier. The route had to pass through treacherous mountains, traverse seismically active areas, and cover vast stretches of desert. So it's not much of a shocker when even the most conservative estimates suggested that the project will cost upward of $2 billion. The funding was provided by a mix of sources like the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, Chinese policy banks, and even loans. Because of the risky terrain, key sections of the Iranian railway were built underground. This will protect it in case of an airstrike and other environmental conditions. With the launch of the first phase of the railway, China's state media hailed it as the lifeline for oil between China and Iran. For China, this project is just an appetizer. They know that if they can go as far as Iran, they can go much further than that. Suddenly, the Middle East and Europe don't seem so far away, all thanks to Iran. For Iran, they landed themselves a bulletproof deal, one that evades any Western threats and also secures a lifetime client for their oil. In 2024, Iran's oil revenue touched $67 billion, a figure unheard of in 10 years. While the deal seemed perfect for both countries, it was perceived as a threat by others. This would perfectly explain what happened just a few days after. Just 19 days after the launch of the China-Iran Railway, Israel launched a massive attack against Iran. While it was done on the pretext of Iran's nuclear threat, many of the Iranian oil and gas facilities were targeted too. Iran ranks as the 9th largest producer of oil, as well as the 3rd largest reserve of natural gas. Like oil, Iran relies heavily on domestic companies to develop its gas fields due to international sanctions, which have limited foreign investment and technology access. By destroying its key energy infrastructure, the US and Israel are sending the country back decades. Under Trump's leadership, America has also initiated a policy of applying maximum pressure on Iran. Among other objectives, a notable aim is to reduce Iran's oil exports from 1.5 million barrels per day to 0 by targeting key purchasers, notably China. Ever since the Israeli attack, the use of the China-Iran railway seems to have been halted. While the project is complete, no subsequent freight services were reported. But even as the China-Iran link stalls under pressure, China's ambitions haven't. They've simply shifted. The global giant is gearing up for its most ambitious project to date. Just a hint, it involves reviving the centuries-old Silk Road. Officially known as the Five Nations Railway Corridor, the project is a network linking China, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. Around half of the length of the railway would pass through northern Afghanistan. A preliminary agreement was signed in the Tajik capital Dushanbe in December 2014. Widely dubbed as the modern Silk Road, this railway link will drive down transit costs and connect east with the west. Its total length is expected to be almost 1,300 miles. This is an excellent opportunity for a nation like Afghanistan to start its post-war transformation. The Afghan section of the rail line will be partially funded by the Asian Development Bank. According to the initial agreement, the railway line would have been laid in 5 years by the end of 2019. The progress has been slow, but still moving forward. In 2023, the first fruit of this deal came into being. On May 9th of the same year, the first trial run of cargo from Iran to Afghanistan was completed. This particular link is known as the Kaf-Herat Railway and is more than 100 miles long. The first shipment included 17 wagons that transferred 655 tons of railway equipment to be used in further construction. For the Central Asian nations, this project solves their basic need: a maritime connection. Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan are all landlocked countries. If they want to trade, they can only do so by road or air. In this case, Iran appears to be an ideal solution for their problem. The Islamic Republic is situated right next to the Strait of Hormuz, which further opens up to the Persian Gulf. With Iran's geostrategic location, the country can import or export on behalf of these nations. However, the stability of this region remains a crucial deciding factor. Since the conflict between Iran and the US, there's speculation that Iran will close the Strait of Hormuz. This was a direct response to the American strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most important shipping routes and a vital oil transit choke point. It's bounded by Iran, the UAE, and Oman, with a narrow width of 31 miles at its entrance. About 20% of global oil and gas flows through this narrow shipping lane in the Gulf. Blocking it would have profound consequences for the global economy, disrupting international trade and ratcheting up oil prices. It could also inflate the cost of goods and services worldwide and hit some of the world's biggest economies, including China, India, and Japan, which are among the top importers of crude oil passing through the strait. Reuters reported that Iran has already loaded naval mines inside the Persian Gulf. Just parallel to the Persian Gulf, we have the Red Sea, another vital shipping route. It's also suffering the same fate as the Persian Gulf due to attacks by the Houthi rebels. Transit costs have already skyrocketed, and there's a growing need to find an alternative route, one that's much safer and shorter. China, in collaboration with Russia, is already working on an alternate route, a path that's so remote that not everyone dares to step in there. This is the Northern Sea Route. It's the shortest shipping route between the western part of Eurasia and the Asia-Pacific region. Both Russia and China are heavily invested in turning this into a viable trade hub. And yes, you are right to be skeptical. There's the unpredictable ice and the harsh Arctic sea storms to combat. But frankly speaking, the world is running out of options ever since the blockage of its vital maritime choke points. By 2020, the Northern Sea Route was only open for 88 days due to the thick ice. However, due to global warming and the subsequent melting of the ice, this window has become longer. The NSR is now open for an average of 90 to up to 100 days. In recent years, Russia and China have invested in building specialized icebreakers and Arctic-ready cargo vessels to navigate through the challenging environment. In June of 2024, both countries signed a letter of intent for building a year-round container line connecting Russian and Chinese ports via the Northern Sea route. While this is currently impossible due to the climate, it won't be a problem by the year 2100. By the turn of the century, scientists suggest ships could navigate year-round along the North Sea. Russia is furthering this aim by constantly releasing advanced versions of icebreaker ships. Each one is stronger and better than before. These aren't ordinary ships. Icebreakers are floating battering rams, purpose-built to slice through sheets of sea ice up to 3 meters thick. An icebreaker's bow isn't sharp, it's curved and angled. Instead of cutting through the ice like a knife, it rides up onto it, then uses its weight to crush it from above. The hull is also made from high-strength steel alloys that can absorb brutal, repeated impacts without fracturing. Since these voyages take months, refueling the vessels remains a challenge. That's why modern icebreakers are nuclear-powered. In 2020, Russia launched the most powerful icebreaker to date. Meet the Arctica. It's a 33,000-ton monster, capable of breaking through ice up to 3 meters thick at a continuous speed of 1.5 to 2 knots. It's powered by a double reactor that provides enough energy to keep the ship operational for 7 years without refueling. That's more than most naval fleets. Another one of its powerful sisters is the Sibir. It's another Russian icebreaker made under the same project as Arctica. It operates efficiently in shallow Arctic River estuaries as well as along the Northern Sea route. With each passing year, we will be seeing better naval ships, all thanks to innovative engineering. Who knows, maybe one day, the world will be using the northern route in the same fashion as the Suez Canal. If you want an insight into how engineers build on ice or sea, this next video is just right for you. As always, if you liked our effort, make sure to hit that subscribe button.